There are three main things that stop people becoming successful. Now, over the past 3 years, I've worked with probably close to 1,000 business owners, and not every single one of them was successful. There are underlying principles that you need to have in place in order for any business strategy, any business plan, any fitness plan, any kind of thing you put in place has to have some fundamentals in your life in order for you to be able to be successful and access them. Now, I'm going to walk through the three main things that I found hold people back from being successful. Now, the first one of those things is belief, and genuinely I feel that this is the most important one. If you cannot see the vision of where you're going to go, if you do not truly believe that you can get there, it's more than likely never going to happen. You will, unknown to yourself, self-sabotage. You will procrastinate. You will not do the work, not because you're not disciplined, not because you don't work hard, because you've got a poor work ethic. You'll self-sabotage, you'll procrastinate, and you won't do the work because you don't believe in the outcome. You don't believe you're really going to get there. When I was younger, and even as I was growing up, I used to always believe that I was going to do something. I was going to be successful in life. Even in times where I wasn't. There was times where I'd be very, very far from what you'd call successful. There were points where I've been in debt. There's been points where I've lived at my mum's way longer than I should have done. And at that point, you would look at my life and think, how the fuck do you think you're going to get from here to here? And some people will call it delusion, but genuinely it's more like belief, okay? You have to have a belief in the goal that you're going to get. And that's very difficult for people to do, especially if it's something that you've never done before. If you are looking to get in shape and you've never been in shape. If you are looking to make good money and you've never made good money before, it can be difficult. And when I was growing up, I come from a background where, we did okay, but we never had loads and loads and loads of money. And the idea of owning a supercar or flying in business class was something that I'd never seen. And I had to truly believe in myself that I could do those things and I could get those things before I was ever going to have a chance to get them. Now, I appreciate that if you're from a background where you've never come from wealth, or you come from a family that's, never had great eating habits or great exercise habits, believing in that when you're not seeing it around you, when that's not happening to you, is really, really difficult. But if you don't get over that hurdle first, you are never, ever, ever going to be able to get there. And the advice I can give to you is the kind of things that I did myself was, the first thing is just take that first step. Because if you don't take the first step, you're never going to be on the journey to do it. But then after you've taken that first step, my advice would be go and surround yourself with people that have done it so you can see that it works, okay? The first thing I did when I was 15 is I went and joined the biggest meathead gym that was within like 10 miles of my house. When I first started going to the gym, I was in school. I think I was like in year 9 or year 10, and I went to the local leisure centre, and nobody in the local leisure centre was in good shape. It was all just like old people that were kind of just getting on the spin bike and stuff like that. And funny enough, I never really took hold of it. It never really happened. When I went to the meathead gym, it was full of people that were in insane shape. Okay, there was people that were bodybuilders, there were people that were athletes, and just everywhere. It was like normal in that place for people to be in good shape. That helped normalize it for me. That helped me see that it wasn't weird, it wasn't unbelievable that people could get in shape, because I was surrounded by people that would do it. And before I managed to be successful in business, I spent a lot of time with people that had good businesses. One of my good friends had a massive clothing company that made $9 million a year. I'd met other people that were, doing things. I worked in a very, very good gym in town where there were other personal trainers that were making really good money. There was a couple of trainers in there that were already making really good money online. And when I saw those guys do it, and I'd spoken to them, and I knew that they weren't massively different from me. They weren't different people. They weren't aliens. They were just personal trainers like me. I knew it was achievable. And as soon as I could see that it was achievable, I was able to do it. So my biggest advice to you, if you're struggling with belief, is go and surround yourself with people that are actually living that life, that are doing that thing. Whether you have to find yourself in weird social circles, you have to push yourself to go to things, go to events, go to business events, go to expos, like go to these places and speak to these people. Like, I've always just tried to make relationships with people that are further along than me, and it might be scary, but like, they're just regular people. Again, they're not weird aliens. So go and spend time and speak to people that are in the position that you want to be in. And the more times you do that, you will start to believe more that it's possible. And when you believe more that it's possible, and you truly believe that it's possible, then you'll start doing all the things automatically, because if you think that you can achieve something, you're probably going to do the work to get there. The second thing that you need to have when you want to be successful is ruthless consistency, and not just consistency when things are easy, but consistency when things are difficult. Biggest things I see people struggle with when they're trying to get in shape, when I was a personal trainer or now trying to grow a business, like now I consult on businesses, is every time something goes wrong, every time something happens in their life, everything goes out the window. Whether that's their relationship, whether that's a financial situation, whether that's with clients and work, whether that's in things at home, whether it's their health, all of those things happen to everyone. I said this on a coaching call the other day, and it's quite horrible, but it's true. Every single one of you will go through horrific things in your life. You are probably going to watch your parents die. You are probably going to have pets die. You are probably going to get massive financial burdens dropped on you that you were not prepared for. That happens to everybody. And that's quite morbid to think about, but everybody has to understand that. You have to go through it. It's how you react to those things and how you tolerate those things while still going about your day-to-day stuff, while still doing the work, while still going to the gym, while still making that content, while still taking those meetings. You have to be able to be consistent throughout turbulent areas of life, because life is turbulent. Life is going to punch you in the face. It's going to suck at times. If you can only be consistent when things are amazing, you're never really going to be consistent, because everything is always going to go wrong. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you realize that you have to have a system in place, and you have to have a level of personal development where you can go forward and you can make things happen, you're never going to make it. And that's not me saying, you shouldn't take time off. That's not me saying that you shouldn't grieve for things. That's not me saying you shouldn't be affected by things. You have to feel it, but you also have to develop a filter where there's a baseline level of stuff that gets done. Maybe you stop, you deal with something, and then you give yourself time to get over it, and then you go back to work, or you go back to the gym, or you go back to whatever you were doing before. And if you do that for long enough, it will start to become so automatic that even in the worst of times, even in the most traumatic of times, you will still be able to maintain that baseline because it's become a habit. I get up and I take my vitamins and supplements every single morning. I take them before I go to bed. You get up and you brush your teeth every single morning. You don't not brush your teeth because something shit's happened in your life. You get up and brush your teeth because you've done it every fucking day since you were a child. Make the habits that you need to be successful the same level of habit as brushing your teeth, as getting in the shower, as doing all of that stuff that you have done since you were small. Because once you do that stuff, once you make that habit, it will be very, very hard to break it. But you have to dedicate that level of consistency first in order to then keep that long term. The third thing that I think people struggle with is they don't have a single strategy. One of the biggest issues is that people chop and change what they're doing far too much. It happens in fitness when people change what diet they're doing, they change the training plan, they change the exercises that they do. Or it happens in business when they change the way they get leads, they change the content plan, they change the sales process. They chop and change because they never stick out one thing long enough to be consistent with it and see whether it is successful or not. I'm going to be massively honest with you. Most stuff works. There are many different ways to grow a business. There's many different ways to get in shape. If you stick to things consistently for 4 to 6 months, you will generally get some level of success with all of it. Everything works to a point. Like, yes, there might be more efficient ways to get stuff done. Yes, there might be better ways suited to you. But if you're always searching and chopping and changing to try and find the perfect thing, you'll waste so much time trying to find perfection that you actually just won't get anywhere at all. So what I would recommend doing is sitting down, finding the thing that makes the most sense to you at this point in time, finding a trusted expert, listening to somebody that has done the thing that you want to do. Take their strategy that you've looked at and think, this is the right thing for me, and stick at it for at least 90 days. At least 90 days. And I guarantee you that even if it isn't the perfect strategy, even if it isn't amazing, you will make so much progress in that 90 days and you will learn so much about yourself that at least after that 90-day period, you'll be able to make an educated decision about what is the next step to go forward. You will learn so much about the process because you've stuck to one thing. You will know what works and what doesn't. But if you're chopping and changing things every 2 weeks, you're never going to get that level of understanding to where you know what's right for you and you know what's wrong for you. So the final thing I would tell you is be consistent in your strategy. Find a strategy and stick to it for at least 90 days. And those are the biggest things. If you do those 3 things, I guarantee you in the next 3 to 6 months, your life will be massively, massively different, okay? Get yourself around people that are going to foster that belief. Start picking up those small daily habits that are then going to build into long-term consistency, and pick one thought out, clear strategy and execute it for 90 days at a minimum. Hopefully that was helpful. That's come from watching people succeed and watching people fail. And if you do those 3 things, I guarantee you, there's 99.99% more chance of you succeeding than failing.